All right, so today we're going to be talking about how to get bigger customers with LinkedIn. And LinkedIn originally this was going to be all around LinkedIn ads. Given everything that's happened in the last month, a lot of people, everyone's being forced online right now. So just knowing like a lot of people are online now, and also knowing like a lot of companies might be more conservative in their spending, other ways to use LinkedIn that don't require ad spend, so ways to use LinkedIn organically. We'll be talking about some of those methods and strategies as well today. So I'll dive in and get started. So if you're on here, this question might have resonated with you, is like how to get bigger customers, how to get in front of bigger prospects, how to get qualified leads. So questions I usually ask people is, who is their target customer that they're looking to attract. Most of the B2B companies out there have a very specific target person that they're looking who's a good customer for their product or service. If you're selling to other businesses, a lot of times B2B products and services are higher price point offerings, so maybe it's not applicable for everybody out there in the market. Whereas like a tool like Facebook or Google, you get a lot more consumer traffic coming in through those channels. So if you find that you're needing to get bigger customers and you're finding yourself, if you're finding a lot of lower qualified people coming in, then maybe LinkedIn's a good channel for you to check out. So B2B tends to be more complicated than B2C. It kind of starts with your ideal customer is probably harder to find, or there's, it's that niche decision maker you're trying to get in front of. Most people are probably not a good fit for your B2B product or service. And then executives, everyone's busy out there, but executives, they might have a lot that, like, because just being an executive is going to be more competitive to get in front of that person. They're going to have more advertisers trying to get in front of them. So number one, they're just busy purely, and they're getting overloaded with other offers from people. And a lot of these companies have gatekeepers, secretaries, maybe managers below the decision maker. But the thing is that these people are probably the ones in charge of their LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn's a good way to go directly to some of these niche decision makers without having to deal with gatekeepers who might be answering their phones, or monitoring their email inbox. So why now? Well, given everything that's going on, online is kind of the only, we're all being forced online right now. So this is a graphic we got from a LinkedIn rep, just kind of showing the increase in traffic over the last few weeks. It's not surprising to see how everyone's being forced online right now. So the spike in traffic, it is kind of surprising to see how big of that spike has been. They said over 2,000% increase. So like I don't even know what that means, but we've been running a lot of campaigns on LinkedIn over the last couple of years, and I'm always somewhat surprised and impressed by the size of the niche audiences that we tend to be targeting. So knowing that there's over a 2,000% increase overall on LinkedIn means that there's a lot more traffic out there. A lot more people are being active on LinkedIn because it's the only place, online is the only place that we have to go right now while everything in person is canceled. So who does this work for? I say it's nearly any B2B company out there. There's a lot of targeting options on LinkedIn, and we'll get into some of those. And here's a breakdown of the top categories, industries on LinkedIn. So number one is IT and information technology, just all the tech companies out there, the tech workers. Number two is marketing and advertising. So all the people in the companies looking to use LinkedIn as a marketing and advertising channel. But then number three gets into like the HR, the staffing, and the recruiting categories. So LinkedIn's a huge jobs platform. The HR people are very active out there on there. Number one, just managing their company profiles and pages, and then also managing the job search, searching for doing the recruiting out there. And then getting into computer software, more tech companies. I think just like the digital workers in general are going to tend to be on LinkedIn more, just being online day to day. And then getting into financial services. And then big one is education, schools, universities, stuff like that. But whenever we start a campaign, we always start by sizing up the audience. And some of our campaigns use some pretty niche criteria where we're getting very specific to maybe just a few job titles in a certain industry. And I'm always surprised, when I do size those up, that we're still oftentimes able to get 30,000, 50,000 or more people on LinkedIn to target. So there's a big audience out there, and everyone's being forced online right now. So now is a good time to use LinkedIn. So a little bit about me. When I'm not on my computer on LinkedIn, I try to get outside and stay active and do some running. This is just a picture of me at Austin Marathon. Thankfully, we got that in before everything hit this year. A little bit about my background is I originally moved to Austin to work for IBM. I worked on their WebSphere consulting and got to work on really big e-commerce stores out there and see like online selling and marketing from the really big corporate point of view. After a few years at IBM, I spun off to start a mobile app development agency here in Austin. We got to work on a whole variety of different apps for a range of clients, from really small startups to some tech companies here in Austin. Got to work on the Ride Austin app. We did some work with University of Texas. We built another app for Texas A&M. Another company called Ride Scout we got acquired. So a variety of different companies. And what I was seeing was building mobile apps was awesome. We launched a lot of great apps, and we saw a lot of companies do really well. A company would spend a lot of time and money on development and do really well with a good marketing or acquisition plan after we launched it. Some apps we'd throw on the App Store and they'd get it out to their audience, and it would get thousands or tens of thousands of downloads. Whereas other startups, we'd build them just as quality of a software of app, but without a good marketing plan, they put it on the App Store and it wouldn't go anywhere. So saw the need for marketing, and we naturally got pulled into doing helping out with a lot of the marketing for a lot of those companies. And that was my segue into the marketing world. And since then, I've started Modern Media, advertising agency, and we focus primarily on LinkedIn ads. So the switch. So getting into marketing and advertising, we did a lot of work in Facebook ads and Google ads, and we had been doing LinkedIn ads for a couple of different companies. But I remember this one account we were working on that they themselves, as we took it over, they were doing the traditional Google ads and Facebook ads, and just getting a lot of the leads that were signing up and going to their sales team were not qualified to buy. Their product here is enterprise product, so it's got a high price tag on it. So most people, you need to be a bigger company, have a budget to afford this product. So a lot of the people that were signing up, they were finding from their LinkedIn, from their Google ads and from their Facebook ads were like students doing research or people looking for jobs. And then on the Facebook side, people would be opting in for their different offers, but maybe they were clicking on it because it had a pretty picture. So a lot of their sales team was wasting a lot of time on unqualified leads. They were just getting frustrated. We moved their campaign over to LinkedIn and started by targeting bigger companies in the tech industries and specific titles around data scientists, CTOs, CIOs, and just like right out of the gates, the campaign performed a lot better. And kind of like from there, it was just realization, like if you're doing anything in B2B, B2B tech or anything in these bigger B2B offerings, you got to be using LinkedIn to get that high quality traffic source, or else, using a Facebook or Google, you just need to play the numbers game at that point and just get a huge volume of leads to find the one needle in the haystack that does opt in. Whereas on LinkedIn, you just get pure high quality traffic based on the targeting that's available there. And it's not just tech. I'm probably going to give a lot of tech examples today just because that's my background, but we run a lot of campaigns in a lot of different industries. This one's serving like doctors in the medical industry. So you can just see some of the job titles that we're able to sign up: chief medical officer, surgeon, medical director, and stuff like that. So it works in a whole variety of different industries. LinkedIn's got a lot of different targeting options out there that we'll go over. And it's, from the recruiting end, we've run a lot of recruiting campaigns. Again, it's one of the biggest categories that LinkedIn is used for. So it also works very well for recruiting. This one here, they were recruiting for experienced and qualified salespeople. So not just recruiting anybody to be on a sales team, but somebody who had prior experience in the area and that they had certain experience with certain tools that they wanted to target. So today what we're going to go over, we're going to start with LinkedIn Organic, a number of ways to use LinkedIn for free that you can do now. And then we'll get into LinkedIn advertising after that. Organic is a good place to start because it's free. And as you hone, maybe your messaging or your approach to LinkedIn, advertising is then like throwing fuel on the fire. So as you get comfortable with LinkedIn, using LinkedIn organically, then you can move into LinkedIn advertising, and you can just scale up your campaigns from there. Finally, we'll get into some advanced tips and tricks and some other things that I can recommend. So starting with LinkedIn Organic, the LinkedIn Organic strategy, I say, it's kind of, it follows the just like real life approach, but it's online. So, so the process we go through is think about your appearance, think about your network and how you can expand it, and then think about how you can develop relationships online. Number one is your appearance. Just like you get, I say, just like as you get dressed up to go to work, you got to make sure you're putting on the best. Your profile looks, your profile, everything's buttoned up, all the information's there. Just given being online, if someone reads your profile and if it's a little off, they might be a little skeptical as like, is this a real person? Are they legit? Because online someone can be whoever they want to be. So you want to make sure your profile is up to date and all the information is accurate and filled out. Here's a few tips that I'd recommend is make sure your profile picture and cover photo is up to date. There's a lot of room in the cover photo, so I recommend having a second headline there. There's a lot of space to put some text or a call to action. Maybe you have a URL in there too. I've seen a lot of people use in the tagline, make sure that represents what you do and who you serve, make it very clear and concise. And then in your about section, have a little bit more information about you. Things that work well in the about section and even in your company section below is having links where people can go to find out more information. So we call these lead magnets as to some guide or some guide or some PDF that your target market is going to be interested in, and give them a reason to go download it. So if you're serving the tech industry, maybe it's the checklist, the reports of the top 10 new technologies that companies are using these days, and then give you a little URL. You can't click on the URL in the description, but people will copy and paste it, and we see traffic being generated from links in your profile. And then making sure that your URL is customized, and it's not just an ID, so that if you're copy and pasting links, people know that it's your profile. Same with your profile, same with your company page. Make sure all the information is filled out on your company page. The thing is, company pages actually rank pretty well in Google. So anything that you put in here gets indexed by Google and will show up likely in search results if someone's searching for your company or searching for the things that your company speaks to. So again, make sure your URL is customized and not just an ID number. The header photo here also has a lot of space in it. So I also recommend having a second headline there, maybe a call to action, a URL to a lead magnet as well there too. In your headline, put your tagline for your company, and then it's another opportunity to put a link to a lead magnet. So here you can see it says get the company page checklist. And if I had more characters, I'd put the actual checklist URL, but on our homepage, there's a link to go download that. And then enable your custom button on your page. It's just a switch you need to turn on, and then you can give it a URL, and there's different button CTAs that you can select from, like sign up now, learn more, visit website, and then obviously fill out all your information about your page. This is what's indexed by Google and will show up in search results. So once your profiles are optimized, next is think about growing your network. So this is a picture of Sales Navigator right here. That is a paid option on LinkedIn. If you have the free version of LinkedIn, then you can still do some searching. The Sales Navigator has a lot more search criteria. So when we talk about getting bigger customers, it really starts with having a quality traffic source, and LinkedIn is a great place to do that. There's a lot of targeting options on LinkedIn, which lets you target specific decision makers, but then also higher level people in companies, and then bigger companies as well. So if you wanted to target companies of 1,000 people or more, if you were selling enterprise software, if you knew you needed to get in front of like directors and VPs, you can do that with LinkedIn's targeting capabilities. So one thing I say is, you can't bump into people at the co-working space right now, so you can do it on LinkedIn. And then once you do start growing your network and connecting with people, next is to start engaging with your network. So it starts with you posting content. Hashtags are relatively new to LinkedIn, and they're doing their best to promote them. So you can see a couple of examples here of content that's showing up just in my newsfeed. I'm not connected with any of these people, but because I followed the B2B hashtag, these posts are showing up in my newsfeed. They're both second connections, so I'm not connected with them, but their content showing up in my newsfeed. You can see the one on the bottom here. One of my connections has liked this post, so that's showing up in my newsfeed as well. So as you post content, I'll give you some more tips at the end of how to expand your reach. But as you post content, use the relevant hashtags, tag people, and that will help get your content in front of more people. Here's a cool tip of using LinkedIn to search for people searching for you. So I haven't seen many people talk about this capability, but I just typed in mobile app developer, and here's just the first page of results that I got is 3 people looking for recommendations for developers. Now these all have a lot of comments on them, but this is LinkedIn trying to give me what they think is the most popular posts. But if I go a page or 2 back, I'll find one that might only have 1 or 2 comments, or maybe none at all. And maybe those are the ones that I want to reach out to. So maybe search for people who are searching for your service. And then something else is, once you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, you will usually get access to additional information that they put in there, and they've marked only available to their network. So any of your connections, you can hit contact info, and then many of them will have their phone number and email address available in there. So LinkedIn's a good place to start the conversation and get in front of people, but then oftentimes you want to continue it over email afterwards. All right, so next is getting into LinkedIn ads. And I have a few more tips at the end of advanced stuff on the organic side of things, but organic is a good place to start. It's free. Anyone can kind of get started with it. And as you get comfortable with LinkedIn, and as you hone your message and your audience, then taking that and moving that into an ad campaign is kind of a good next step. Ads are like throwing fuel on the fire, and it's very scalable. So the basic strategy we have when we approach a new campaign is talking about these different components with a client. So number 1 is your audience and who you want to target, offer, and what is it that you want to put in front of them. Number 3 is the ad, or there's different campaign options. There's different ad options in LinkedIn. What is the different ad unit that you want to use? What is the funnel and the different steps people are going to take after they sign up? And then how are you going to follow up with those people? So audience. So again, this is probably the strongest point of LinkedIn is on the targeting capabilities that are there. So the first way to get in front of bigger customers is to target bigger companies. So these are some categories that we most commonly use. You can target by job seniority, and these are broader categories as far as like owner, CXO. You can see here VP, director. They have manager and senior. You can target by specific company size. Maybe you do serve smaller startups, or you're finding that as your sweet spot right now. So you can also target like 1 to 10 or 11 to 50. And then if you want to go even bigger than this, you can target 1,000 employees and up if you're selling something that's like enterprise level. Some other categories that are available here are like company industries. You can target specific company names, and you can also exclude specific company names. So often we'll exclude competitors or similar offerings from a campaign just to make sure you don't want to be advertising to your competitors. Demographics is gender and age. Education is getting into degrees people have or schools they've gone to. We've run a few campaigns in the legal industry, and sometimes we're adding in, like JD to target lawyers. If we're targeting doctors, maybe it's targeting people with an MD, along with some other, targeting categories here. Getting into job experience is things like job function and job title. Job function and job title, or maybe you're targeting just salespeople. Maybe you're targeting specific job titles that people have who you're looking to get in front of. And then lastly, member skills. Member skills is a really good way to get like super niche into a specific person you want to target. Oftentimes you do, in like the software world, maybe it's like a programming skill, a programming language as a skill that somebody has, or things like that. So next is offers, and like, what is it, what's that message you want to put in front of somebody? This is how I kind of rank the different offers that you could be offering to somebody. LinkedIn is great for top of funnel and getting in front of a qualified audience, but who probably has never heard of you before. So I recommend starting with lower friction offers, things that are easy for somebody to opt into, things that are easy for them to opt into, but also appealing to them. So checklists are great, guides, reports, and white papers. You want to pick a topic that's, pick a topic that is a problem for your target market and something that's top of mind for them already, and speak just to that, just that pain point. As you get more lower in this funnel here in this diagram, these are bigger asks that you're making somebody to sign up for. Case studies, someone needs to be kind of considering your product or service to be interested in the case study, or they need to be already know your company name or the name of the company the case study is about to really be interested in it. Same with ebooks. Someone knows, hey, this is probably going to be like a 50-page document I need to flip through. So it's a little more of an ask for them. As you get into webinars, somebody knows they need to block off some time to go and watch the webinar. So that's a bigger ask. And then getting into free trial, free demo, somebody knows they need to schedule something and then purchase. That's the biggest ask. So LinkedIn, the strategy on LinkedIn is, you're getting super high quality traffic coming in because of you've targeted that. Make it as easy as possible for them to opt in so that you get high quality traffic coming into your funnel, and then you can follow up with those people, or after they opt in the funnel, give them the opportunity to book a call with your team after that. Next is getting into ad types. So there's a few different types of ads that LinkedIn has. The first three are kind of the standard sponsored content that you'll see in the newsfeed: image ads, carousel ads, and video ads. Then next is text ads. These are, I'll get more into sponsored content in the next slide, but text ads are the small little ads that you see at the top of LinkedIn and on the right-hand side. These are LinkedIn's cheapest ad units, but they're kind of out of the way and hidden, so they don't get a ton of clicks. They are a good way to start with LinkedIn ads if you just want to play around with some of the targeting and see some of the traffic that you'll get from it. Spotlight ads we don't use too often. They're probably best. The only time we do use them is for like recruiting campaigns. It's a very simple ad unit that puts someone's picture next to your image or whatever image you upload for this ad. Like I said, they work for recruiting campaigns, but not much else, because you're paying the same cost per click for these as you would for these other sponsored content ads. But there's very little info that you put in here. Other ones are the sponsored email ads. Message ads are kind of the traditional sponsored email ad, where it'll be a message that pops up in someone's inbox. These new conversation ads have just rolled out recently, and these are more chatbot style of ads, where you can build out a whole flow. Someone can click a few different options, and you can offer them a few different things. So I'll show you more about those on the next slide. So sponsored content, I call these the money makers, because these are the highest quality ad unit that LinkedIn has. You can convey the most info in them. It's right in the news feed. You have ad copy. You'll have images, videos, or carousel ads, and you can also attach a lead form to it too. So these are usually the best place to start if you're going to run a full campaign on LinkedIn. And then as you hone your, figure out the best performing ads here, then often we'll start with the sponsored content and then move to maybe text ads after that, or move to sponsored email ads with the best performing ads. Sponsored email, so this is getting right into somebody's inbox on LinkedIn, and conversation ads are kind of the new format of this. We've seen how Facebook's evolved over the last couple of years, and LinkedIn tends to follow that direction. Facebook had Facebook Lives, LinkedIn has LinkedIn Lives. Facebook had chatbots, which have been really big over the last year, and LinkedIn's starting to take steps into more chat-based options. So why conversation ads? We've rolled out a few campaigns that are using conversation ads, and why they're better oftentimes is because you can provide people a few different options whereas somebody might be more likely to submit a form, or other people might be more likely to click through and sign up. And you can also offer them different things. So one person might be interested in the campaign planner, another person might be interested in a swipe file. This one ad can capture both of those. And then finally, lead forms. This is very common. We use this probably the most common in our ad campaigns because it's the easiest way to capture contact info. This is a little form that opens up inside of LinkedIn. It'll autofill with information from the person's profile. You can add custom questions in here too, but the most powerful things to ask for is email address, phone number, and then you can do job title, company name, and stuff like that. All right, next is getting into some advanced tips and tricks. I just have a few extra things to share. One is the social seller index. So we don't see this promoted a ton, but this is kind of an interesting panel to go check out. And it'll tell you information about your profile. And if you're looking to use LinkedIn organically, this is, take a look at what your rating is here and see where you need to maybe spend more time to build out your profile or engage more. Because LinkedIn is going to promote the content from the best profiles, and this is how they rate you. So it's kind of interesting. The different categories here are establish a professional brand, find the right people, engage with insights, and build relationships. So there's different categories as to like how many people you've connected with, what is the strength of those connections, how often and how quality of content are you posting, and how much are you engaging with others, and how much aren't others engaging with you. So take a look at your score. The higher your SSI index is, the more that your content is going to organically be promoted in the newsfeed. Another thing is you can check out LinkedIn ads being run by any page out there. So if you go to any LinkedIn page on the left side, there's an ads button, and it'll show you all the ads being run by that page. Whenever we're starting a new campaign, this is one of the first things we'll check out for competitors or the similar offerings in the industry. It usually goes back to the last 3 months of ads. It'll scope out what ads they're running, what's the message, what's the image that they're using. You can even, if they're running lead forms, you can even click on the ad and it'll show you what lead form, what they're asking in their lead form, and then you can even click through and go to the landing page and scope it out. So a lot of good info. This is only going to show you their sponsored content ads, the ones running in the newsfeed. You will not see sponsored email ads, or you will not see text ads here. Next is the LinkedIn Insight tag. So this is some free information that if you're thinking about using LinkedIn or thinking about running LinkedIn ads, I recommend adding to your site right away. So anyone can create a LinkedIn ad account, and anyone inside that ad account, you can create your Insight tag, and you don't need to be running ads or paying for ads, but you can just create those accounts and put this, it's like the Facebook pixel, but for LinkedIn, put this tag on your website, and then it'll start reporting back to you information about your visitors. And probably the most useful column is just purely what are the companies that are visiting your website. So you can see different companies that have visited our website. I'll check on this about once a month. If there's any companies that are not clients, I'll send these names to my sales guy to reach out to them to say, hey, saw you on our website. Are you interested in in how we can help you with LinkedIn? And lastly, there are a few examples of some other campaigns. So this one's an e-commerce SaaS platform. So in the software space, serving e-commerce companies, different titles that we're able to sign up through that is e-commerce marketing director, founder, lead social advertising strategist, chief marketing officer, VP of sales, and stuff like that. This is another recruiting campaign. So this also works for kind of blue collar recruiting as well. If you have a lot of recruiting to do, this was a nationally run campaign. They did have some licenses and certifications they wanted these people to have, which is why they chose to use LinkedIn for their advertising channel. So we targeted nationwide, and we added in those specific certifications, and we're able to sign up a lot of people through their campaign for this. And then another example from the IT space, you can see some of the job titles we're able to sign up: infrastructure team lead, regional consulting, cybersecurity architect, director of IT, head of cyber and fraud controls, IT director, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different categories on LinkedIn. I recommend if you're thinking about it, just hop in there and see what the different targeting options are. Maybe looking at some job titles, take a look at some industries, and see what would work best for your company. All right, well, now I'll open it up to any questions that people have. If you have any questions for me afterwards, feel free to shoot me an email, anthony@modernmedia.io. I'll send out these slides and this recording. We have a couple links in here if you want to learn more about the strategy and approach to building LinkedIn funnels. And then I've talked a lot about lead magnets in here. This is an article about how to create the perfect one, or how to choose your lead magnet, and then what that format should be. We have a couple of groups out there where we'll share stuff regularly on new features that are released by LinkedIn and new tips and tricks. One's a Facebook group, one's a LinkedIn group, and then we have a modern guide to lead generation to learn more. So I know a couple people sent me questions in the comments on the event, but I'll open it up. Feel free to drop in any questions in the chat, or just unmute yourself and ask away. Let's see, what were the couple questions that people asked? So one question I got was, what is better, job title targeting or job function targeting? And if you have a very specific person that you're trying to target, then job title targeting is usually the better way to go. You'll want to, as you're selecting your audience, keep an eye on what that size of that audience is. If the audience is very small, or if you're going after a very senior level type of title, job title targeting can be the most expensive type of targeting to use because it's very specific and everyone uses job title targeting. And the way LinkedIn works is job title is just a free text field, so people can kind of put in whatever they want there. And there's a lot of variations of probably the job titles you're putting in there. So if you see your audience is quite small by using job title targeting, then you might want to switch to job function and seniority to get all those different variations that might not be directly matched to when you're typing in for job title targeting. So I'd say it depends on your use case, and if you have an extremely specific person you're trying to target, oftentimes we will split test running one that's specific job titles versus running one that's job function and seniority. And it's just case by case basis on the company and the offer as to sometimes job title targeting works better and other times function and seniority work better. Somebody asked, how do you deal with gatekeepers? Any tips for getting through to the actual target? Well, dealing with gatekeepers, what I think about for that is usually if you're cold calling to companies or sending out emails, you might, if you're cold calling, you might be getting to the secretary. If you're sending emails, who knows, they might have an admin assistant who's checking their emails. So that's where using LinkedIn is kind of the approach to get directly to that person, because most of the time people are managing their own LinkedIn profile and putting an ad in front of them or just messaging them directly through LinkedIn. They're probably going to be the ones to receive that.
Hey, Anthony. Thanks so much. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Renee, I'm the founder and CEO of RenzoBox. So you've been talking a lot about B2B sales. I'm just curious if you've worked on any B2C, because my product actually, it appeals to a lot of working professional women. So we've been looking at LinkedIn as basically an alternative to Facebook advertising. And I was wondering if you've ever worked on campaigns that were more direct to consumer rather than B2B.
We have done a couple direct to consumer. I will say LinkedIn, from the ones that we have ran a couple successfully, but we've also seen a couple other ones that have struggled. And it probably depends on, I would need to learn a little bit more about your offering to them. But what we usually see in our hunch why this is when someone's using LinkedIn, a lot of people use it for a specific use case where maybe somebody in sales is going to look up somebody that they're about to have a meeting with. They want to learn some information about somebody. Maybe they received a message. They want to go send a message to somebody, or maybe they're doing the hiring or looking for jobs. So it's usually with a specific use case where people aren't as likely to like be spending time on LinkedIn. So they're in that business mindset and in there for a very for a business use case. So because of that, we often see like consumer like shopping and like stuff like that. People aren't as likely to sit through and watch a long video. So we actually see image ads do better than video ads because people aren't as likely to watch that video and sit through stuff. And people are more in a business mindset.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Cool. One other question I had was how big should my audience size be? So if you're creating an audience on LinkedIn, if you use Facebook before, Facebook audiences, you tend to give it a big audience and you let AI algorithm go find who in that audience is most likely to convert. On LinkedIn, it's almost the opposite, where you want to be very specific on who it is that you're targeting, because LinkedIn does tend to be a little bit more expensive than the channel on like just a purely cost per click basis. So you want to make sure you're getting only qualified people coming through. So we're getting quite specific on who that person is, what are the skills that they have. So good audience sizes tend to be between 30,000 to 80,000 people. If I see an audience that's bigger than 80,000 people, I think, I have an opportunity to add some more specifics to that targeting to get more focus on who that good target customer is. If it's below 30,000, then you're starting to get into smaller audiences where you might saturate that audience really quickly. And you might have some serving issues of the ads actually running at that point. So that's usually the sweet spot, is between 30 to 80,000 people. Bigger than that, you have some options to get more specific. All right. Feel free to drop in any last questions, and I'll be sure to send out these slides and send out the recording afterwards.